Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. I am your host, Jason Spears, and Colt fans, we've got a lot to talk about.
This is Culture Uncut. I am your host, Jason Spears, and I just got done watching the Chris Ballard end-of-season press conference, and I must say, he said all the right things. All the things that us fans have talked about and complained about, the re-signing of every single friggin' guy that was a free agent last year for the Colts was a mistake. We, as fans, a lot of us felt that was a mistake, and he admitted it was a mistake. The lack of competition creates a situation where people just get lazy because there's nobody behind them, and he stated again that there needs to be more competition because obviously, when there's competition, a player knows if he's not doing his job, as Chris Ballard said, his ass will be on the bench, which is something that I've beat the drum for forever because that's how you get better. That's how you make players better. That they're in a fight position at all times to keep their job. You're going to get their best. They're going to be focused. They're going to be watching more film because they want to keep their job. All that stuff is connected. If you go out and do your job and you're a starter and you play really well, you can earn a second contract, make more money. Again, all of that is connected to competition, which this team has really not had. So he said all the right things. I was shocked to hear him say that they're not close because usually he kind of takes the opposite approach and usually makes it seem like they are close, but they're not. And he admitted that, and I agree with him, and I've been saying that, and it was refreshing to hear him tell the truth. And look, Chris Ballard's never been a guy that's come out and not taken accountability. He's always said, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me. And he did that again, but my issue's always been fix it. Like, he's telling players to fix things. Like, you have to fix this too. You were the one that are bringing these players in that don't fit, that are being distractions to the team. So you've got to fix it. And so while I am slightly hopeful that things will change because he is at least admitting to mistakes and not trying to double down on the wrong decision, I'm all about proof of concept. So I'm going to need to see all this. I'm going to need to see him get rid of some guys that people, maybe would be shocked that he would get rid of. For the betterment of the team, less distractions, more, just better overall play. I just think there's things he can do, throughout the roster to increase competition and make this team better. But it all starts with player acquisition. Via draft and free agency, you have to bring in the right kind of players. Players that when it gets tough in the fourth quarter or it gets tough and you have to win a game, they play their best as opposed to the opposite, which is what we've seen here in the last few years. Players playing their worst, making mistakes at crucial times. That all comes with player acquisition and knowing what types of players to acquire, character, football character, toughness, all of that stuff is important. And I think, I don't know what his direct differences will be in player evaluation when it comes to character because he did not say those things. But I do think that there will be some differences in ways he goes about free agent acquisitions or just overall draft acquisitions, because the guys that he's drafted and or acquired have really not lived up to the billing as far as your best players should be most seen at the biggest moments, and that has not happened. So, I think Steichen can make some changes. Again, like I said on my last podcast, I want to have a reason to hope and have some level of faith that things can change. And I will say, even though it's just talk, that hearing him humbled the way he was by the questions, and shout out to the Indianapolis media. I thought they did an outstanding job asking him hard questions, very pointed questions, and elicited some really good answers from Chris Ballard that, maybe in the past the media wouldn't have asked him, but they did a great job today, and they really pressed him on, what's going to be different, what he did wrong, the thoughts on Anthony Richardson. Does he still believe what is the off season look like? How's he going to challenge the young man? Is he going to bring in, somebody to push him, which he said he was? All those things are great. And so they give me hope that maybe, he's going to change his philosophy a little bit or a lot. I can't say for sure that he's going to do any of it, but he certainly took the initiative to take all of the blame. Like, he literally took all of the blame, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, because this is his gig. This is his job, and he has not done it well. But there is some hope that, based on what I heard, there are going to be changes. I think you're going to see some roster shakeup. Like I said, I think you're going to see guys moved that maybe you don't expect to be moved or cut for money, and also to add players that fit the mold of high-character football guys that give you everything you need as far as effort level, non-distraction, leadership. We have a lot of captains on this team and that aren't leaders, in my opinion, and I think that is a big problem that needs to be rectified. Whether that's by letting guys go or whatever. You can't have a roster of 54 guys and 18 of them are captains. That's ridiculous. There should be 3 captains and that's it. It sounds stupid and maybe a trite thing to talk about, but there aren't that many leaders on this football team. If there were, they wouldn't have failed the way they did or have over the past few seasons. So I think you'll see hopefully some different approaches to free agency and just general overall talent evaluation, going forward. And, again, incrementally, I just want to see positive changes from Ballard and from Steichen. I still would prefer Steichen not call plays. That's something that I'm not going to come off of. But overall, I thought, Ballard did a really good job articulating his failures and also, the things that, the pillars or whatever that he thought would be great for team building that have not worked. But also talking about, going forward, how he believes he can make this thing work. Again, all this is great, but I'm going to need to see it, because it's not like this is 3 years. This has been 9 years, and it's been 6 since we won a playoff game, and we haven't won a division, and we've only gone to the playoffs twice, and we haven't gone since 2020. So all this talking is nice, but again, it's just that. It's talk. The proof will be in what he does. And again, it's not just Chris Ballard, it's Steichen, it's the players, it's everybody. They all have to be better. They all have to be on the same page. They all have to, put the team first and focus on how they can get better and how they can help this team win. That's all that is important. Podcasts are not important. None of that, nothing that doesn't contribute to winning football games matters as far as in the scope of the Colts franchise and going forward. Everything should be about winning. That's all that matters at this point. So, as usual, it's going to be an interesting off season. I'm interested to see what happens and how it's all handled. If he makes any tweaks to his draft evaluations, the way he scouts, the type of players he goes after. It's just going to be that press conference made me curious to see what's going to happen. Do I think a lot's going to change? I'm not ready to buy it. You're going to have to show me. But it was a positive step that he acknowledged his failures and, was very specific about what they were. And, it seems like he's done a lot of introspection and focus on himself and how he's failed, which is a positive thing. And like he said, failure and struggle aren't necessarily bad things if you learn from them. But the problem with him has been he seemingly hasn't learned from his failure and his struggles. So we'll see if, what is this, the fourth time's the charm? Because, really since 2021, back into that season, the last two games, and then 2022, and then, through now. It's really been coming up small at the biggest moments and not, having enough to get to where we want to go, which is the playoffs. And we just have always failed at the biggest moment. So, we shall see what happens. I'm interested to see also the defensive staff that comes in here. He did say he wanted to be more aggressive. They need to affect the quarterback more. The secondary has to play better. He did say he thought the D-line played well. I thought they were inconsistent. I thought the pass rush was inconsistent. I do think the talent on the D-line is there, but I did not think their performance was consistently as good as it should have been. He obviously thought it was much better than me, but I do think that is the strength of our defense. But I also think it can also be improved upon, the play and the talent. So, but as far as the coordinator stuff goes, obviously Gus is gone, Richard Smith, the LB coach, is gone, Miles is gone. So whoever they bring in, whether that be Anarumo or Wilkes or whoever, I would think is going to bring their own staff. I thought I heard him say that some of these guys, whether that's the D-line guy or whoever, are under contract still, so maybe they stay. I'm not a big fan of the keeping guys on staff thing, but, from previous regimes, because then that guy immediately becomes the surrogate fall guy if something doesn't go right, and I don't know. I'm a clean slate, more of a clean slate guy, but I don't know. People seem to be very infatuated by Anarumo, but looking just at his overall statistics, I'm not all that impressed. People here hated Eberflus, and he was I think had 3 or 4 top 10 defenses, 4 top 10 turnover things, and this Anarumo I think has only had one in 8 years, one top 10 defense. and like one top 10 turnover. So I don't get it. I don't, and Wilkes' stats aren't great either. So I don't know, man. But whatever the case, I just want to. I want a coach that's aggressive. That's going. And Anarumo is a guy that, you know, has the nickname the Mad Scientist. So he does do things that I like. Whereas, you know, like just disguising and moving guys around and mixing coverages. He does do a lot of that, which is good. I like that. I like that approach. But I think he's slightly overrated based on what everybody's raving about. He had one good year, and I'm just seeing all these people that, you know, are quote unquote football guys rave about this guy, but his statistics don't really bear all that, you know, adulation out to me, especially when you consider the amount of hate that a guy like Eberflus got here, and he has statistically way better defenses than Anarumo ever had. And we all know how badly Matt Eberflus is not liked in this fan base. So it's odd to me how people pick and choose or whatever. But I'm all about, you know, the points per game, which Anarumo's middle of the pack to the back end, and turnovers, and he's kind of middle of the pack to the back end, and then third down percentage, which I haven't seen that. But that's also very important. That's where Flus was not super great. I don't know. We'll see what they do, but I hope they interview more than those two guys, because and Wilkes seems more like and Steichen's making the decision, and I think Wilkes is probably more of a Steichen guy. I don't know, man. He did a really good job his last year in San Francisco. And I do think he's a good coach, but I don't know. I don't know what, like, when you, at the end of the day, whether it's Anarumo, Eberflus, Wilkes, Bradley, you know, Meeks, you know, Larry Coyer, going back to Vic Fangio, it really doesn't matter who your coordinator is if you don't have any talent. Vic Fangio was run out of town in 2001 because our defense was historically bad, because it had no talent on it. Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive minds in football, and he was run out of Indianapolis because we had no talent on defense. And again, that's what this all comes down to. Like, this team led the league in missed tackles, and they were bad defensively, very bad. And, you know, some of that is coaching. If you're not coaching it, you're allowing it. And I agree. Gus left a lot to be desired. But at the end of the day, these players, one, the talent level has to be increased. The competition has to be increased. And three, there has to be a standard with this defense, you know, where you got 11 to 1, you know, getting to the ball, 11 guys getting to the ball, hustling all the time, you know, and playing physical. That's how you get turnovers. That's the one thing. When Flus was here, everybody ran to the ball, hustled all the time, and that's why when the ball was on the ground, we recovered it, because we were hustling to the ball. You didn't see that under Gus, and that was a problem. I want a coach here that can inspire these players and get the best out of them. I don't know who that coach is, but their core, I think, belief has to be, you know, hustle all the time to the ball, 11 to the ball, physical, you know, those things are what I want. Smart, just that, start with that, like good sound fundamentals and technique, all that, all super important, because you can't be a good defense when you lead the league in missed tackles and you have boneheaded mistakes, and you can't tackle in the open field, and you can't get off the field on third down, and you can't stop the run. It's not going to be a good defense. And we haven't had a good defense since 2021. So I don't know. I'm not as excited about these coordinators, the two that we're interviewing, as seemingly everyone else is. But again, I don't really think it matters if the talent level and, you know, competition level isn't upgraded, because again, it's about players. Everything's about players. Culture's about players. Holding people accountable is about players. Winning games is about players. Coaches guide you, but players play. So we'll see what happens. If anything breaks in the next few days, I'll obviously cover it. But I hope they do a wide search and look at a lot of guys, not just those two guys. And I hope one of the things that they look for in a coordinator is ability to generate pass rush outside of the front four, aggressiveness, mixing coverages, being more physical at the line of scrimmage outside with the corners, bringing blitzes from different blitz packages. I want a defense where the quarterback can't walk to the line of scrimmage and immediately know we're in this coverage and know where the ball probably should go. I want the quarterback to have to walk to the line of scrimmage and say, okay, wait a minute. This doesn't look right. Why is, the safety over here? Why is this guy shaded here? Because we're in a disguise. That's what I want. Somebody that's going to do that. Somebody that's going to make the quarterback think, because that's the hardest thing, man. When you've got so many different things running through your head, and you have to know the play, you have to know the options, then you have to look at the defense. And if it's in a disguise, you have to try to figure out what they're disguising and what they're actually in. Where's the pressure coming from? That's a lot for a quarterback to have to deal with. So, and we haven't really given that to quarterbacks since before Flus was here. So, we shall see. But that's certainly something that I want, an aggressive guy with multiple fronts, multiple looks, that's going to, have the kitchen sink at his disposal if need be. If we need to get pressure, he knows where to dial up a pressure, when to dial up a pressure, that type of stuff. So overall, I have a little bit more hope than I had yesterday. I thought the Ballard presser went about as well as it could go as far as admission that he's failed, admission that we're not close, just being very forthright about what's gone wrong and what the issues are. And, he understands why we're all pissed. And he gets it, so I'll give him that. But I gotta see it, man. I'm not one of these people that's drinking the Kool-Aid again. I'm not doing that. I stopped after 2021, and I've been skeptical ever since. I thought he should have lost his job twice. Pretty much it after 22 and after this last year for sure. It's after 21, after 22, after 24, and he still got the job. So I'm skeptical. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid until, I can see progress, which I have not seen. There has not really been any solid progress from this team since 2021. It's been middling. It's, back 9 games, 4 games, 9 games, 8 games. It's middling and maddening. So, and our schedule's tough next year. So, but again, I just want to see a team that's competent, that is together, plays hard, plays smart, and improves. Like, gets better as the season goes on, develops an identity. That's what I want to see next year. So hopefully what we do between now and then can get us there. I'm very skeptical of that, but I'm going to give him I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to let him see if he can prove it. But until he does, I'm definitely going to be very, very skeptical. So that is my thought, or excuse me, those are my thoughts on pretty much everything. Ballard, Steichen, and also the defensive coordinator search, which is continuing to go on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been Culture Uncut with your host, Jason Spears. I hope everybody has a great weekend, some great football coming up, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.